Hello, my name is Jiso, and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō, and we've reached chapter 52, Bukkyo, the Buddhist Sutras. Butsu means Buddha or Buddhist, and Kyo means sutra or scripture, so Bukkyo means Buddhist Sutras. Shōbōgenzō chapter 24 is also called Bukkyo, but in that chapter, Kyo is a different word meaning teaching. In Buddhism, there are fundamentally two ways that are useful in pursuing the truth. One is practicing Zazen and the other is reading sutras. But some people emphasize the value of practicing Zazen so strongly that they are blind to the value of reading Buddhist sutras, and so they deny the value of reading them. They insist that Buddhism is not philosophical theories, and therefore that to attain the truth we need only practice Zazen, and that reading Buddhist sutras is useless or even detrimental to practicing the truth. But Master Dōgen did not think so. He esteemed the value of reading sutras, and he thought that it was necessary to read Buddhist sutras in order to attain the truth. Therefore, he recorded the true meaning of reading Buddhist sutras in this chapter. Furthermore, in Master Dōgen's thought, Buddhist sutras are not only Buddhist scriptures, but they are also the universe itself, which shows us and teaches us the true meaning of our life. The method of teaching bodhisattvas and the method of teaching Buddhas exists in the here and now. They are both tools of the great truth. The tools accord with the master, and the master uses the tools. For this reason, at the very moment of sometimes following a good counselor and sometimes following the sutras, which the Buddhist patriarchs of India and China have done without exception, establishment of the will, training, and experience of the effort have no gap between each other at all. Establishing the will relies on the sutras and on a good counselor. Training also relies on the sutras and on a good counselor, and experiencing the effect also is wholly intimate with the sutras and with a good counselor. The moment before and a word after are both in the same state as the sutras Sorry, I was just wondering what that footnote was there. The moment before and a word after suggests action. Right? The moment before and a word after are both in the same state as the sutras and as a good counselor. The moment itself and the inside of a word are both in the same state as the sutras and as a good counselor. Good counselors, in every case, are thoroughly versed in the sutras. They are thoroughly versed means that they see the sutras as their national land, and they see the sutras as the body-mind. They have seen the sutras as the means of establishing the teaching for others. They have seen the sutras as their sitting, lying down, and walking. They have seen the sutras as father and mother, and they have seen the sutras as children and grandchildren. Because they have made the sutras into practice and understanding, good counselors have mastered the sutras. A good counselor washing the face and drinking tea alludes to a story about Master Isen Ryūyū and his two disciples. A good counselor washing the face and drinking tea is the eternal sutra itself. The saying that the sutras produce good counselors describes 60 strokes of a baku's staff being able to produce children and grandchildren, and 3 strikes on a stone mortar on Mount Obai, making possible the transmission of the robe and transmission of the Dharma. It describes not only that, realizing the truth on seeing the peach blossoms, realizing the truth on hearing the sound of a bamboo, and realizing the truth on seeing a bright star are all examples of the sutras producing good counselors. There are skin bags and fists who get eyes then get the sutras. There are skin bags and fists who get eyes then get the sutras. And there are wooden dippers and lacquered tubs who get the sutras then get eyes. What has been called the sutras is the whole universe in the 10 directions itself. There is no time or place that is not the sutras. They use the characters of consummate philosophy, and they use the characters of secular philosophy. They use the characters of the heavens above, and they use the characters of the heavenly human world. They use the characters of the world of animals, and they use the characters of the world of asuras. Animals and asuras are 2 of the 6 states from the wheel of samsara. They use the character of the 100 weeds, and they use the character of 10,000 trees. Therefore, the long, the short, the square, the round, the blue, the yellow, the red and the white, which are arranged in dense profusion throughout the universe in 10 directions, are all the characters of the sutras, and they are the concrete surface of the sutras. We see them as the tools of the great truth, as the Buddhist Sutras. The sutra is able to spread out over the whole of time and to spread throughout entire nations. It opens the gate of teaching people and does not forsake any human household over the whole earth. It opens the gate of teaching things and saves material beings throughout the earth. In teaching Buddhas and teaching Bodhisattvas, it becomes the whole earth and the whole universe. It opens the gate of expedient methods. Quote from the Lotus Sutra. It opens the gate of abiding in place, also the Lotus Sutra, and not forsaking one person or a half of one, it reveals true form. To get this sutra at this very moment, with the thinking, sensing, mindfulness and realization, and in the state without thinking, sensing, mindfulness and realization of Buddhas or of Bodhisattvas, though it is beyond the intentional doing of the individual, is the great aim of each person. The time of decisively getting the sutra is beyond past and present, because past and present are moments of getting the sutra. What is manifested before our eyes as the whole universe in 10 directions is just the getting of this sutra. When we read, recite, and become versed in this sutra, the Buddha wisdom, natural wisdom, and untutored wisdom are realized prior to the mind and are realized prior to the body. Oh, excuse me. At this time, we do not have the doubt that wisdom may be a new and special state. When this sutra is being received, retained, read, and recited by us, the sutra is enfolding us. Lovely. The situation before a line and around a word, and in scanning down and dwelling on a sentence, is instantly the scattering of blossoms and the making of garlands. Beautiful. We call this sutra the Dharma itself, and in it there are 84,000 accumulations of Dharma preaching. In this sutra, in this sutra there are characters which are Buddhas who have realized the balance and right state of truth. There are characters which are Buddhas who are presently living in the world, and there are characters which are Buddhas who have entered parinirvana. The arriving of reality and the leaving of reality are each a character in the sutra and are a line of Dharma written on the Dharma. Picking up a flower and winking an eye and a face breaking into a smile are just the eternal sutra authentically transmitted from the 7 Buddhas. Standing waist deep in snow and cutting off an arm, doing prostrations and getting the marrow are just the eternal sutra transmitted from master to disciple. The subsequent transmission of the Dharma and giving of the robe are just the arrival of the moment in which all volumes of the universal scripture are entrusted. 3 strikes of the mortar and 3 sifts of the rice in the winnowing basket. Another reference to the transmission between Master Daimon Konin and Master Daikan Ino. Okay. I've lost it now. 3 strikes of the mortar and 3 sifts of the rice in the winnowing basket make the sutra hold out a hand to the sutra, and the sutra thus rightly succeeds the sutra. Furthermore, this is something coming like this. Master Daikan Ino's words to Master Nangaku Ijo. There is something coming like this is 1,000 sutras for teaching Buddhas and is 10,000 sutras for teaching Bodhisattvas. To explain a thing does not hit the target. Quote from Master Nangaku Ijo's words to Master Daikan Ino. To explain a thing that does not hit the target nicely preaches the 80,000 compilations and the 12 parts of the sutras. Furthermore, a fist and a heel, a staff and a whisk are eternal sutras and new sutras, sutras of existence and sutras of emptiness. Being part of the assembly and pursuing the truth, making the effort of sitting in Zazen are originally... Being part of the assembly and pursuing the truth, making the effort of sitting in Zazen are originally the Buddhist sutras that are right at the beginning and the Buddhist sutras that are right at the end. They are sutras written on leaves of the Bodhi tree, the sutras written on the faces of space. In sum, a Buddhist patriarch's 1 instance of movement and 2 instances of stillness, and his or her holding on and letting go, are naturally the closing and opening of the Buddhist sutras. Because we learn in practice that there being no ultimate extreme is the ultimate standard, we receive sutras and expel sutras through the nostrils, and we receive sutras and expel sutras through the tips of the toes. As sutras were received and sutras were expelled before the birth of our parents, and as sutras were received and sutras were expelled before the time of the King of Majestic Voice. The name of an extremely old Buddha. We receive sutras and preach sutras through mountains, rivers, and the earth, and we receive sutras and preach sutras through the sun, moon, and stars. Sometimes we retain sutras and transmit sutras with the self that precedes the kalpa of emptiness, and sometimes we retain sutras and transmit sutras with the body-mind that precedes face and eyes. We cause sutras like these to appear by breaking atoms, and we cause them to appear by breaking the Dharma world. It's deep stuff, isn't it? Oh, chilly as well. Oh, I'm not wearing my tracksuit. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh, got that all mixed up there. I should have put my rack seal on. Oh, wow. Right. Sorry about all of that. Oh, still got this cold. The 27th Patriarch, the Venerable Prajnatara, says, "My out-breath does not follow circumstances. The in-breath does not belong in the world of aggregates. I am constantly reciting sutras like this, 100,000 myriad kotis of scrolls, never only 1 scroll or 2 scrolls." Quoted from Wanshi Juko by Master Wanshi Shokaku. Hearing these words of the ancestral master, we should learn in practice that sutras are recited in exhalation and inhalation. If we know this reciting of sutras, we will know the place where sutras exist. Because it is the reciter and the recited reciting sutras and sutras reciting, it may be total knowing and total seeing. My late master constantly said, in any order, literally in my concrete place. Sorry, in my order, in my concrete place. Start again. My late master constantly said, in my order, we do not rely on burning incense, doing prostrations, reciting names of Buddhas, practicing confession, or reading sutras. Just sit, direct your energy into pursuing the truth, and get free of body and mind. Few people clearly understand an expression like this. Why? Because to call reading sutras is to debase it, and not to call it reading sutras is to be perverse. You are not allowed to talk and not allowed to be mute. Say something at once. Say something at once. We should learn this truth in practice. Because this principle of reading sutras exists, a man of old has said, that's Master Unmon Bulen, a man of old has said, to read sutras we must be equipped with the eyes of reading sutras. Remember, if there had been no sutras from ancient times till today, there could be no expression like this. We should learn in practice that there is reading sutras which is getting free, and there is reading sutras which is non-reliance. Generally means non-essential, needless, or useless. Here, however, it suggests a state of transcendence. Master Tendo's words are not a denial of the value of reading sutras. They are a recommendation to get the real state of reading sutras. Let's read that sentence again. We should learn in practice that there is reading sutras which is getting free, and there is reading sutras which is non-reliance. This being so, each practitioner or half a practitioner who receives and retains the Buddhist sutras will inevitably become the Buddha's disciple. Do not learn at random the wrong views of non-Buddhists, because the right Dharma Eye treasury, which is being realized in the present, is itself the Buddhist sutras. All things that exist as Buddhist sutras are the right Dharma Eye treasury. It is beyond unity and difference, and beyond self and others. Remember, the right Dharma Eye treasury is limitlessly abundant, but you will not clarify it entirely. Even so, you are exhibiting the right Dharma Eye treasury, and you do not disbelieve it. The same should be true for the Buddhist sutras. They are limitlessly abundant, but you should hope to believe in and to practice a single verse or a single saying. You will not be able to understand 80,000. As one who is not a complete authority on the Buddhist sutras, never rashly say that the Buddhist sutras are not the Buddha Dharma. Although these others, which literally means you in the plural, here refers to those who affirm Master Bodhidharma's Zazen but negate the study of the sutras, what he was talking about in the introduction. Although these others can be heard boasting that they are the bones and marrow of the Buddhist patriarch, when we look at them with right eyes, they are just late learners who still rely on sentences. Some may be equal to those who have received and retained a single saying or a single verse, and there may be others who are inferior to those who have received and retained a single verse or a single saying. Never insult the Buddha's right Dharma on the basis of such sparse understanding. Nothing could have more virtue than the Buddhist sutras, which are sound and form itself. Sounds and form delude and disturb those others who in any case still crave them. The Buddhist sutras do not delude and disturb those others. They should never insult the Buddhist sutras in their disbelief. Okay, I'm going to leave that there and try and finish that tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Take care.